Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a review of the weekend's action. Obviously we'll start with the Martin Murray. The main event obviously was Billy Joe Saunders on Friday night versus Martin Murray for the WBO title. Um, Obviously I expected Billy Joe to win, and he won comfortably. I think he won probably 10 rounds out of the 12, if not 11 rounds out of the 12. Um, yeah, it was a decent performance. Um, Martin Murray's tough, but obviously he's past it now. Um, he's a good fighter, but obviously he hinted that retirement could be in the offing after this fight, but he's not going. He said he wasn't going to make any rash decisions on retirement, so we'll see what happens with Martin Murray next. I think for Billy Joe Saunders next year has to be a big year for him, with one or two big fights really, because he's getting on in age, and realistically his standout performance is still David Lemieux, in Canada, um, where he basically outboxed him for the whole 12 rounds. Um, on the rest of that card, obviously you had Shannon Courtney came back on that card. Um, won by won by stoppage in the end. A decent fight. This Norek from Poland come over and really give it a bit of a go. So I think it was a good stoppage for Shannon uh, Shannon Courtney, and I think she's obviously looking for the Rachel Ball rematch next year, whether that be the next fight for her, or whether Rachel Ball will fight Ebony Bridges first and then fight Shannon. I think that's um, I think that's going to be a fight next year as well. I think Shannon's punches looked more powerful. She seemed to sit down on her punches more. She looked more spiteful in the ring, which was good to see. Um, so I think big things could be happening for her next year in 2021. Um, who else? Lerone Richards obviously fought his first fight under the Matchroom promotion banner. Won every round against the his opponent Liam, I think called. Um, so that was a good performance for him. Um, and then one fight was pulled from the card. Obviously, you would have saw us talking about it in the preview. Zach Parker, due to COVID, due to his opponent testing positive for COVID, that that fight was pulled from the card. So obviously you would have heard us um, sort of previewing that fight, but obviously it got pulled. So I just wanted to explain that in this video. Also, the core main event on Friday night was James Tennyson in a WBA world title eliminator against O'Reilly. Tennyson won with first round knocked three first round knockdowns, and basically eventually the fight got stopped in like 55 seconds, I think it was, or maybe about a minute, maybe a little bit more than a minute. Um, yeah, as soon as Tennyson coming into the ring, O'Reilly hadn't fought out of Canada. He was unbeaten, but there wasn't any names on his record, and he was really found out there tonight. Not tonight, in the fight against James Tennyson. As soon as James Tennyson landed, he just could not take the power of James Tennyson. I think James Tennyson's explosive power will cause problems at the higher echelons. Um, I know Johnny Nelson on the Sky coverage basically said that Tennyson has the power to beat Gervonta Davis, and I think he's got a point. I think anyone who's got power could beat Gervonta Davis, because I do think Gervonta Davis's chin hasn't really been tested, and I do think if you've got punch power, you could beat Gervonta Davis. So, but I think the plan for the next fight for Tennyson is to maybe fight Jorge Linares in Belfast, in Northern Ireland, where Tennyson's from. So that would be a massive fight. over there, and a good big name as well on for the record as well. So, but obviously now that the win against O'Reilly will obviously put him up. Obviously, it was title eliminator, so it puts him higher in the WBA rankings. So obviously, you would think that his next fight should be a WBA final eliminator, really, for that WBA title. Who obviously Gervonta Davis holds that title. So yeah, be interesting to see what happens there. But all in all, the Sky card on Friday night was decent. Some good undercard fights underneath. Yeah, there was some decent fights underneath. So that was good. And then now we'll move on to Saturday night. Well, basically the undercard was obviously it was quite poor, to be honest with you. The undercard was quite poor. So we're literally just going to talk about the main event on Saturday night on BT Sport, which was Lyndon Arthur defending his Commonwealth light heavyweight title against Anthony Yarde. Obviously, the fight was interesting. By Anthony Yarde definitely started slow. I had Lyndon Arthur in the first 6 rounds. I had it 4-2 to Arthur, so he was 2 rounds up halfway into the fight. Obviously, Anthony Yarde did put the pressure on in the last couple of rounds, but pressure doesn't always mean that you're winning the round either. If you're not landing anything clean, which he did win the last round, but on my scorecard, I had Lyndon Arthur winning the fight by 2 rounds, so 115 to 130. I had he won it by split decision. Lyndon Arthur won the fight by split decision. One judge had it to Arthur by 2 rounds, I believe, or one round. I think one judge had it to Arthur. One judge had it to Yarde by 6 rounds, which is an absolute disgrace of a scorecard. To have that fight 6 rounds in favour of Anthony Yarde, I don't know what fight he was watching, but nobody had Yarde up by that amount at all. So yeah, that Ian John Lewis really should be, the British Boxing Board of Control should be investigating that scorecard, in my opinion. But then the other judge had it to, 2 judges had it to Lyndon Arthur, so he wins by split decision, retains his Commonwealth title, light heavyweight title, and wins the WBO international title. So it means that he goes up in the top 10 of the WBO ranking as well. So yeah, it was it was a decent fight. Lyndon Arthur, for me, dominated the fight with the jab. I think he won enough rounds overall to win the fight. So, and for me, I think Anthony Yarde to come out at the end of the fight to say that he was robbed is a disgrace. In my opinion, it's a disgrace. When he watches the fight back, you'll see that he lost the fight clearly. In my opinion, for me, he just did not win enough rounds. So it's interesting to see where Anthony Yarde goes from here. There's a rematch clause, so that may be next. I think Anthony Yarde does want the rematch next, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah. But for me, well done, Lyndon Arthur. 2 weeks in a row where in the BT Sport main event, we've had underdogs winning 2 weeks in a row, so that's interesting as well. And then now we go on to over in the States, over in Dallas, Texas. The fight that was Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is tough and he give him a good fight, but for me, Errol Spence's class shone throughout the fight. And he won it easily, really, on points. I probably had him winning by 5-6 rounds. He got it unanimously on the scorecards. Really good performance by Errol Spence to come back from a basically a really uh, really serious car accident, and to perform like that against a guy who is in the top 10 in every probably in the world rankings, in every world rankings in that weight category is massive. Is massive, and it'd be interesting to see where he goes from here at Errol Spence Jr. and what the next fight is for him. I think Danny Garcia, as he stepped up in the highest echelons, he's just come up short. But I think he still will. His name value is still big, so I think he still will get big fights at that weight. On the undercard, I didn't mention this in the preview, but on the undercard, I watched the co-main event, which was it was a title eliminator, a WBA title eliminator, I believe, and Fundora won by stoppage in the first round, and I don't really think I've seen him before, but I was very impressed with him. I think he could become something special, so I'd be interested to see who he fights next. But yeah, in all, it was a great weekend of boxing. Some good wins, some great fights, some good wins, and yeah. So thank you for joining, for tuning in. Don't forget to share, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back on Friday with previews of this week's action. Okay, take care now. Bye.